In this course, you will learn the simple and historically accurate methods for caring for your furniture. These are the same methods used by museum conservators and collectors of fine antiques. The goal is to learn how finishes work so you can make informed decisions on your own antiques and projects. Remember, as stated before, only period finishing materials can be used that are historically accurate for the repair and restoration to be done to an antique. The time period that we will be covering is from the 1600s until about the mid-1900s. The greatest emphasis will be the period between the 1830s until about 1940. Although the 1600s through the early 1800s will be discussed, very few people own such furniture. Most from this period are in museums. This would be far out of the reach of most people, and therefore the majority of people would be excluded from the benefit of these courses. There are many books to be found in libraries and bookstores on the subject of antiques, but most of these books contain museum pieces and do not relate to the masses who collect antiques. In most cases, they provide very little information for later pieces or the proper care for these pieces. Here is a mortise and tenon joint from a table from the early 1800s, and you can see the imperfections, and because it was handmade and done with a chisel. Where the graining changes, you can see the grain here does not flow to the grain that's on the top, because this piece here is actually here. You can look at the edge of the table and see how the grain pattern actually follows over the edge to the side. So this would indicate. Now I'm catching it in this paper plate here, because what I'm going to do with that is then put the shavings into the antique. First, you need to know how that finish was created. What materials were used to create that finish? How was it applied? You can't repair or restore a finish that you don't know how it was made. Attempt to do a restoration without this knowledge was senseless. Here are samples of solid wood that was used or that would have been used to create antique furniture. These first two rows of wood here, these are all English brown oak. So actually this is all the same type of wood, but you can see all the different variations. And in Victorian times, this was the wood. It's come out really nice, as you can see. Really got a nice finish, nice color, nice depth, a lot of depth in there. And that's how they did it back then, using those materials. And this is what they would use to fill the pores. Now this was not used typically in a production environment, but more in your custom work prior to 1850. Circa 1800, this formula was published in 1800, and we're going to strain that because you can. Now this particular recipe was published mid 1700s, and commence to pouring the liquid in there. All we have left of the resin feels just like clay and breaks apart. We've got all the color out of it. So this is just all the debris left over. There's nothing left in it. There's nothing to dissolve. Which you'll find a lot of this on antique furniture. These particular finishes that you see here are typically what you would see in a production environment since 1850 up until the, let's say, 1930s. So that 80-year period, this would be the type of finishes, a sample of some of the type of finishes that you would see.